Hi, this is Tom Osberg, aka Ginger Khan, and you're listening to Void Signal with Brian McClelland.
I know what you're thinking. Brian, you make me smile all the time. How do I repay such a favor? Well, in addition to clicking all the little social media buttons for anything Void Signal related, you can also visit voidsignal.net to leave me a tip, or head over to shirtclown.com to purchase Void Signal merchandise. There's a mug, there's a shirt, there's a hoodie. They're pretty banging. Those are great ways to support the podcast, in addition to sending me positive feedback. Drop me a message, drop me a line, drop me a comment on whatever, and I don't know, say something nice, please. Anyway, thanks so much for your consideration. I hope you're well, and we'll talk again soon. Bye. How's it going, man?
It's going good, dude. It's like, I'm glad it's Friday. It's been, like a regular work day.
Yeah. Gotcha. What, you were working like your day job today?
Yeah, I'm a professor at San Diego State University, so I was doing the professor thing today.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's cool. What professor of what?
I am a professor of political science. I teach constitutional law and law and politics.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
So all legal stuff.
Yeah. What drew you to that? I'm just curious.
I really fell into it. It's kind of a long and involved story. I definitely don't feel like I was drawn to it. Like I woke up one day and said, I'm going to get a PhD in political science. I'm going to become a college professor. I mean, it was really like a whole bunch of kind of strange twists. And I just kind of found myself here. So, if you really want the full story, I can give it to you. But I hold back from launching into it because it's way longer than people think it's going to be.
Oh, no, it's all good, man. I mean, like, I just was curious. I don't know. It kind of makes sense in a way. Like, I don't know. I feel like this genre of music, like finding out that, you're teaching something like that, like, I don't know, it kind of makes sense in a way. Does that make sense? I guess.
Yeah, no, it does. There's like major overlap between the sort of research I do and the sort of music I make. And I mean, it all makes sense to me, but it's really rare, among my colleagues, in the academy, as you would say, it's, there's not a lot of respect for rock music generally. And people are pretty weirded out when they find out I have this other career.
Yeah.
So, I live in it. Yeah. So it's strange. I'm definitely kind of a permanent outsider inside the academy.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of miss academia at times just because it, I don't know, it was cool sometimes to just like have conversations, at least, with your colleagues and peers and stuff that like, I don't know, that are in your field that are like really engaging and like kind of high-minded kind of conversations. I miss those at times, but not often.
Yeah. There are those moments of, I guess you could call it intellectual companionship,
Sure.
when your mind is jiving with somebody else's mind and it's a really satisfying conversation. But I got to tell you, I'm way deep in academia and those conversations are far and few between. I mean, that's I'm not sitting around waxing philosophic with people very often. I mean, it's like, I'm teaching my classes. We have department meetings. We had a department meeting today. And I mean, it's really bureaucratic stuff that we're discussing. And when I have to go to conferences every year, these academic conferences, and present research. And even at those, you'd think that people would really be like, getting into it with each other. And it's amazing at how few satisfying conversations are happening in this business. So,
I mean, my background was like creative writing. So it was all like English majors. So it was like, those people drink a lot. And so there was always like, hey, let's get out of here and go get drinks. And then we'll talk about whatever, so that was, but
that was my grad school experience. I think drinking is a total necessity if you're going to do this job. So my colleagues who like to tie one on, we jive. But yeah, it's a pretty socially conservative world. It's a lot of like button down, kind of just social. I don't mean politically conservative, but just kind of socially conservative folks. And
it is more than I realize at times. But I mean, still, I'm glad it's Friday though, and that you're like, do you have any like cool plans for this weekend or?
Oh, we got family visiting. So
that could be good or fucking bad. Who knows?
That could go either way. No, my wife is excited. My wife's sister is visiting with one of her kids, and my kids are looking forward to seeing their cousin. And that should be fun.
Gotcha.
My actual personal like self-serving fun plans for myself. No, those are also far and few between these days.
I would imagine. Well, the most recent, the single "Fight Like Hell" came out like what, like 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, it was over a month ago. I'm gonna say it was 6 weeks ago.
Sure, sounds right.
Yeah.
But man, it fucking bangs. It's so good. I love the collaborations. I mean, like, I love the song that you did with Morris Black, and now working with Laser. My mind is blanking.
It's okay, Lazerpunk.
Lazerpunk. There you go. I wanted to say Laserhawk because I was listening to Lady Hawk the other day. But yeah, I love the collaborations. They're so good. They're so fun.
Yeah, the collaborations are. I always grow a lot, as a producer and as a musician doing these collaborations, because it's a whole different set of problems than you normally create just when you're making music by yourself,
Right.
And so it really, like the collab I did with Morris Black, really, I really feel like it pushed me to think differently about my vocals. It really ended up impacting the way I did vocals for the new Rapjunk album.
Mm-hmm.
And the collaboration I did with Lazerpunk, I think it was kind of a reminder that like, it's okay to just be like nasty and simple sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
that makes sense.
It's not trying to be smart, it's not trying to be like this. It's not trying to be philosophical at all. It's just like about shooting shit. And it was really satisfying to do.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, I played the fuck out of Doom. So I mean, I was immediately like, oh, I feel comfortable with this content. But
yeah, no, it's actually Lazerpunk wasn't even sure if the Fight Like Hell was his like, he couldn't think of a title, so he said, so he just called it Fight Like Hell as like the placeholder.
Yeah.
And I just said, dude, we should totally go. We should do this. It should be like a Doom themed song. Like, I've been playing those video games since I was like 12.
Ooh, same.
So yeah, so I mean, like, why not? And he was like, oh, okay. And so, like, yeah, cool.
Oh, the cover art was fucking awesome too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah, it worked out. And I mean, like, you can hear it. Like, it sound like, as I was listening to it, I was like, I revisited it even today before this. And I was like, I can hear the Mick Gordon kind of, maybe a little bit of a rub on there, but yeah, it was good. It really good. There's a new Rapjunk album in the works. Yeah, like, that's a couple months away. Last I heard,
it's coming out October 21st.
Oh wow!
So we're less than a month away.
Wow, getting close.
It's getting close. This is the nervous time, It's submitted for distribution. It's done. Whatever I did it. And I'm just crossing my fingers that it lands well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some pretty dedicated fans. I've been. In the weeks leading up to this, I've been kind of like poking around, trolling. I mean, it looks like stalking, but it's journalistic research. Okay,
it is journalistic research. There's a fine line between those two things.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I mean, it's not like I go on forums and post under incognito names and be like, "What's your worst experience with Rapjunk?" or some shit like that. But
that would be really interesting to do. It
would be awesome. Now that I say it aloud, I'm like, man, why don't I do that?
Yeah, you should do that. Yeah,
and
tell me, like, when's this guy been a total asshole?
Yeah, and then I just like get you on the podcast, and then I'm like, well, one of your fans told this story. Let me ask you. You want to respond to this?
I talked to this one promoter who said you're a total princess. Let's talk about it, right?
I met some fan said that you were a little short with him. What do you have to say for that?
No, oh my God, I'm never short with fans. I love our fans so much.
I would never believe such a story as that. Like, if somebody was like, "Oh yeah, he was a dick," it was like,
no. No, every single time we play shows, I want to hang out, talk to people. I want to buy everybody drinks. I'm like happy to be out of my regular stressful context. It's just such a relief.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's the same for me. Like, the moment I'm out and around people, I'm just like, let me give you everything I have. Like, it's just this, I'll share whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I'm excited for the new record. I've been into Rapjunk for a couple years now. To be honest, when I first here's a little cool story, I guess. When I first heard Rabbit Junk, I was like, this isn't really for me. And I was working at Reach In at the time, and the editor Ilker was like, we were making like playlists to try and like showcase new releases and stuff and draw attention to the scene and that kind of a thing. And he was like, dude, this new Rabbit Junk single, Reveal, like you got to put it on there on this playlist or whatever. And like, that was it. I just was like, oh man, remember that time that I said I didn't like this band? That was a lie. Because now I just want to listen to Rabbit Junk all the fucking time. Like, and since then it's just become like, man, Rabbit Junk bangs. But, yeah, it's been fun to sort of visit through your discography and like see how the band has kind of evolved. And, what do you have in mind for the future? Like, are you just going to keep doing this kind of until you don't want to, or?
Well, I've been doing Rabbit Junk for a long time, and I don't have any, I don't have any formal training. I never went to school to learn how to produce. I never had any formal training as a musician. I really, my primary motive for making music is that when I don't make music, I slowly start to go insane. Like I just become really negative. I think I am. I think that making music has always been like the primary way that I cope. Mm-hmm. So that's my primary motive. Is like it's actually just it just keeps me solid. It keeps me grounded. I mean, so I think that I don't think that I can ever imagine stopping making music. I don't really know how to live without it now at this point. That there's just something about going into the studio. It's my space. It's quiet. I just, I engage in this creative expression and I can cope with everything else in my life when I do it. So that's my primary motive. But Rabbit Junk did go through, a number of years where I wasn't gaining very many new fans. I wasn't making any money. And I thought, okay, I did this thing and, maybe it's time to move on to a different, do something else, do something else in music, maybe do a different project. This was like in 2017. I was just kind of looking at Rabbit Junk from a commercial point of view and thinking, I think this has kind of failed. So I said, well, I'm going to make one more record. And that was Rabbit Junk Will Die, which came out in 2018. And I really did plan on it being Rabbit Junk's final thing. And it just ended up doing so much better than I anticipated. Right. And for the first time, like starting 2018, 2019, I really started making like real money from music for the first time. Ravjunk had been on some labels, in the 2000s, 2007, 2008. I had advances, I had some checks, but I had no, I wasn't able to ever pay rent or anything like that. That all changed in 2019 after I put out Ravjunk Will Die. I just started noticing like, I just paid my rent. Oh, I just paid my rent and my grocery bill. Oh, I just paid, wow, I'm like doubling rent. And I mean, and I think that was a lot, in large part, that was due to the streaming services really maturing, like Spotify really kind of gaining like a huge user base. And it really just opened up financial doors to the point where, Ravjunk really became like a meaningful career financially.
Yeah.
And so then it was meeting two needs, then it was like, this is, this is keeping me sane. And also this is like paying bills, all the way up to the point where I could say hey, this is paying mortgage now,
right.
And now I'm in a funny place because I couldn't wake up one day and say, no, I'm not going to do any more Ravjunk. My whole family is financially dependent on it.
Right.
So that's the space I'm in right now. I mean, I feel super fortunate to be able to do it. I'm primarily doing it to keep myself sane, but it also actually pays bills.
Right.
So I'm going to keep on doing it until I guess it doesn't pay bills anymore, or I overcome whatever crazy mental health issue I have. And I don't do music anymore. I mean, whatever.
I'm finally healed, everybody. I'm retiring.
I'm finally healed. I'm retiring. Yeah, I don't have any plans to stop. I love the project and I love doing it, and I really feel like I keep getting better at it too. So I don't think I would be satisfied if I felt like my songwriting and my production plateaued and I was just kind of coasting.
Yeah.
It's like every single record, I really feel like, okay, this is the record where I'm gonna meet these kind of objective production goals. and I'm going to try and write songs, in a more effective way. And so I'm always striving to make it better.
Yeah. I definitely think that it's gotten better as you've gone along. I mean, like it's, and congratulations. I think it's awesome that that it finally started kind of, I mean, that's what most of us are out here trying to do, right? Is like trying to convince people to pay us to do what we love.
Exactly.
So it's like, whenever anybody's like, oh my God, I finally made enough money to, buy myself a taco or whatever it might be, mortgage taco, whatever. People have different needs. I don't judge. But like, I'm so thrilled when it's like, oh wow, somebody did it. It's a win for all of us, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No,
Yeah.
It's super meaningful. I want to
Mhm.
especially after doing it for so long. I mean, I've been really persistent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been plenty of years where I really feel like, people were pretty condescending about the fact that I was still making this kind of music and doing this sort of thing. I mean, it was really satisfying to be like, fuck you. Look at the bill, man. look at the check I'm getting.
Yeah.
That was definitely a satisfying moment.
Yeah, for sure. Are you gonna try and tour? Like I've seen that like a handful of tours have been getting canceled. And I wasn't like, is that something that you've kind of got your eye on, or does time not really?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and we're doing our first show. We got our first show booked in a few years. We're playing a festival in New Jersey. And oh my God, forgive me that I'm like blinking on the name.
It's all good.
So hold on, let me look it up real quick.
It's all
I
good.
mean, I'm pretty sure it's called Dark Side Fest, but I just want to make sure that I'm not messing that up.
I mean, especially in this genre, you got to make sure that it's like you're saying dark and not black, or or any of the other sort of overused words that are floating around.
Thank you. That was an incredibly charitable thing you just did. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Yes, it is Dark Side Fest.
Okay.
And it's in New Jersey. And so that's our first show that we booked in a few years. I mean, the pandemic, fucked us up like everybody else, right?
Sure.
We canceled a bunch of shows, because either they got canceled or we just canceled because we're like, this is stupid. We're not,
Right.
we're not sure how safe this is. So we're kind of just getting back to it now. And, yeah, no, we definitely want to be touring in the United States, and we're always getting show offers for Europe. I'm just always telling promoters like, you just gotta know, it's hard. It's hard to pull off. We have jobs, we have kids.
Yeah.
We can't lose a bunch of money just to play a show in Poland or Germany. Like
Right.
the finances have to make sense. And if but I think that we're pretty much there. Promoters are like, yeah, we know you're going to sell enough tickets to be able to we can cover all the costs, but it's expensive, right? I mean, you're talking about, it's going to be like $9-10 grand, right? To get started, but we're going to get there. So, I mean, people should be expecting to see us play more in the US and over in Europe,
Gotcha.
and then we're currently based in San Diego. There's been some talks about shows in Mexico.
Oh, that would be fun.
So that's another place that we want to branch out to. Never played in Mexico. So played in Europe, played in the United States, played in Canada, but Mexico, we haven't made it yet. So
That would be awesome.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I get weird, like, I mean, I go look at my podcast stats and stuff online, and I have there's a lot of people in Mexico City who listen to and a lot of people in South America who listen to the podcast, and I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. I'm like, man, where are those people? Like, where are the bands? Like, I don't know. It's an interesting sort of, I don't know, a demographic that I feel like people kind of overlook a little bit. But then when I was at Mechanismus Festival in Seattle, you had all these, South American guys there that were just came to have a good time and we're killing it. Like Theodore the Blacksmith. Oh man, what a talented guy that he is. Wow, it was good.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's a truly global scene, and we're living in an exciting time. You can be an independent band and you can have hundreds of thousands of fans all around the planet.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that 20 years ago, so this is a really cool time. Yeah. I'm happy to be living in it.
For sure. And it's interesting to me that you sort of credit a little bit of your success to sort of Spotify finding its feet. Like, I mean, that, Spotify is kind of a thing that, like, I don't know, musicians feel differently about it, kind of depending upon who you ask, kind of a thing. So, I mean, you sound kind of positive about it. You feel that it's sort of helped your career significantly. So it's interesing to hear that.
And I do. Yeah, I do. And when I hear criticisms of Spotify, I totally respect that. I mean, I think I don't begrudge anybody their criticisms of Spotify. I mean, they're a big corporation. I don't think that they really, care about artists. I mean, they care about the bottom line. As a company, they're still trying to turn a profit. We don't really know what the future for Spotify is. At some point, and this is a little bit of the political scientist to me talking,
sure.
At some point, the investors in Spotify are going to get, I think they're already frustrated. They're looking for a return. There's 400 something million users, right? And yet it's really hard for that company to make a profit. And so we have to expect that Spotify is probably going to change pretty significantly in the next 5 years. And I hope that those changes don't destroy what it can do for independent artists. So I know that there's a lot of independent artists who are really unhappy with the Spotify royalty rate, but to give you a different perspective, financially speaking, my music career has never been so sweet. I mean, Spotify sends me a significant check every month. I never got treated like that from a label, for instance. Or,
Sure.
Often labels, I think of the old label system as way worse than anything Spotify can do to independent artists. The old label system was like, they'll give you, maybe 10 grand up front, and then you'll never see another dime, and they own your works forever. And you're not even sure what exactly they're doing to promote you. And you're put in this position where you have to get out on the road and start selling t-shirts to try and make your rent payments. I mean, it wasn't a great system, so it's not like there was some sort of golden age that we want to get back to. I really think that the streaming services probably improved things for a lot of artists. I think that what's going on is that you just have a lot of people who feel like, hey, I've got 50,000 listeners. That seems like a lot. I should be able to live off of that, when the number is more like you really got to get up to, around 200,000, 300,000 for it to be, a meaningful income.
Right.
And that's hard to get to. Yeah. I think the only way to do that is you got to put out a lot of content. You got to anticipate, this is content that people are going to want to listen to. And there's no magic formula for that. I mean, that's just really hard.
I think the other thing that sort of stands to benefit you, and I agree with you overall, I do think that Spotify has been wonderful for artists. I mean, it's exposed me to a tremendous amount of artists that I wouldn't have found otherwise, that I have made sure to go out of my way to support and have on the podcast or whatever. So it has been pretty wonderful in that respect. I would love to see, I don't know. I also think that there's a lot to be gained from writing kind of genre bendy songs and sort of I don't know. I don't want to say pandering or writing to an algorithm kind of a thing, but I do think there's value in hey, maybe the next time you're going to compose something, maybe kind of think about what kind of people you might bring in with this, or what kind of a of a door you might be opening, kind of a thing. Because I
agree.
I feel like there's a lot of small artists in this scene who, like you said, they get 50,000 and they're like, this is great. And I mean, I would be ecstatic at that number. I'm not trying to shit on anybody's numbers or anything, but no, there's also that element of okay, well, you've got 50,000, but your album's kind of samey sounding, or whatever criticism, whatever critical kind of an issue you run into, but it's a weird landscape. It's very I feel like most people are kind of navigating it by touch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're bringing up a couple things. One, you got to figure out a way to stand out.
Right.
And so if you're really uncritically adopting a bunch of genre rules and you're not willing to step outside those rules, you're going to get lost in the crowd,
Yeah.
So it's like I encourage everybody to, you know, sound a little weird, you know, break some rules, make yourself feel uncomfortable. I mean, that's definitely, you know, what I wanted to do with this new Rap Junk record was I wanted to feel kind of uncomfortable, do vocals where I'm like, ooh, this feels a little uncomfortable, because then I know that I'm doing something new.
Yeah.
And I fully expect people to hear some of the choices I made on this album and be like, oh, I'm not so sure about that. But I think that on their second or third listen, they're going to be like, oh, no, I get it. You know, it's just because it's like, you got to try and push some sort of envelope.
I agree.
And I think, you know, probably being an artist of any kind, but certainly being an independent underground artist, it's kind of like you're playing a DJ set over the course of years. You know, you do, and like, you got to try and like read your crowd a little bit. What kind of mood are they in, you know? And so, you know, I think that's a cool thing that happens. It means that the music that I'm creating is in collaboration with the fans. You know, I'm reaching out to them, I'm listening, I'm paying attention to them. If they're in a darker mood, you know, then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make heavier music, I think, for them. If they're in a more carefree mood, then yeah, let's be light about it. But I think that's a totally legitimate thing to do. It's just like if you're a DJ playing a set, you know, you read the crowd, right? You know, and
or at least be self-aware enough to be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't put like 3 songs about how I'm sad in a row on my record. Like, like I'm probably gonna tune out. I'm sorry. Like I'm probably gonna go check something else out, because I can't, like, you know, no, people don't want to linger in those moments for too long, kind of a thing. Like,
no, it's like, you gotta it's interesting. There's a balance. Like you gotta push your listeners into territory that they didn't anticipate going themselves, right? You gotta lead them a little bit, but you also gotta follow their lead. Like, you know, like, and so that kind of back and forth, I mean, that's a, you know, when I'm in the studio and I'm creating, I always have this I always have like fans like literally in mind, you know. I mean, usually it's specific people, you know, not really people that I know well, but I mean, just like people that I've interacted with on social media. I think that I think those interactions for me are really inspiring. And I've written songs that are really actually, basically they're inspired by like a particular person.
Really, like almost like a response kind of a thing.
Yeah, they are. You know, like I had this interaction with a fan, and you know, and I go into the studio and I make a song about that interaction, or I make a song about the story that they were telling me, or you know, what they're going through in their life. And I don't tell them, I don't reach out to them and then say, hey, by the way, this song is about the things you said to me.
I definitely wouldn't do that. I would never be like, hey.
That would be weird, but I mean, like, I'm really paying attention to people and listening to things they say, and I use that as you know, part of my creative energy.
Oh, for sure, I agree, and I think there's a lot to be gained in that, like by just paying attention to what people say, and like if you give somebody just a few moments to talk to you and you ask a couple of probing questions, they'll tell you everything that you need to know about them. Like they'll tell you all about like what they value, what their character is, everything, probably even their political leanings and like some of their more philosophical mindset. Like you can gain a lot just by paying attention. So
Yeah, people are. We do live in a pretty isolating society, and I think people have a strong desire to feel seen and heard. And so I think that if you give people that space, they will present themselves to you. You know, they just really want to be witnessed. Right? Yeah,
I mean, everybody just wants to scream "witness me" and have somebody actually watch them.
Pouring salt on my wounds and tearing out my eyes. spine, a shiver across the skin, a beautiful line. My eyes lock and look away, wanna run but my body stays. Never ever gonna feel that way, never ever gonna feel that way again. Like poverty, the hard truth reveals. Damn if you're asleep or awake when you call my name, I will face to face. Sometimes it feels like we're frozen in time, floating in space like undefined. We can free ourselves from change, our love forever change. Hey, don't wanna feel that way again. I stand to watch you stand peel away like poetry.
But yeah, I think that's a consequence of we live in a society where it's pretty easy to go unnoticed, and it's pretty easy to feel neglected. It's very easy to feel isolated. Yeah, it's the super vans are the heartbeat of the scene, right? And they're like the blood supply of the scene. And
oh yeah, they'll share your stuff for you without asking. Like they'll just be like, oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, they're like it's there's no artist, independent or otherwise, can survive without that enthusiasm and that sort of engagement. And the minute the minute any artist kind of writes that stuff off or starts getting a kind of superior, kind of conceited attitude, I really feel like they're nearing the end.
Yeah, agreed.
So, it's like, stay humble, appreciate people, recognize how much energy people are putting into you, give them some energy back.
Yeah, exactly. Especially live, I was always the person who was like, I'm going to stand here with my arms crossed and watch the show. And I'm going to make sure that I make no noise or move too much. I don't want people to see me. I don't want it to look like I'm dancing. But I mean, nowadays it's like, I'm over that shit. Like I shout, I scream, because that shit, you're giving energy. Like when you're engaged, you're making the performance better. It's like a two-way street kind of a thing.
It is. And it's also definitely up to the, performer, I think, to draw that out of you. Right. So, you paid your money, you've showed up, you're contributing your body to the process. And then, there's like duty on both ends. Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, duty on both ends. Totally. So you did mention that I did want to ask you, you talked about writing songs that sort of were responses or you had fans in mind. Is there a particular track that you could name that you had a person in mind when you were kind of writing it and
the first track of the last album, Xenospheres, is called Neurodivergent. Mm-hmm. And the inspiration for that song was a conversation I had with a fan at a show about their neurodivergent experience. Right. And I think that they were talking and I was thinking to myself, wow, I've had a lot of those same experiences. I think I'm probably a little neurodivergent myself. And,
right.
And I wrote that track and there's that track got a lot there's a lot of people who are like, whoa, I feel there's representation here. I feel way seen by this track and the way it describes that experience. And I had people reaching out to me I had one person ask me are you neurodivergent or do you just know how to describe our experience? And I was like, I think it's both, man. I think, and anybody who ends up a scholar or ends up in academia is a little different in the brain, and has struggled in society because they just they think a little bit differently, but that's precisely why they can produce new research.
Right.
So I mean, yeah. So that's a good example. But I mean, there's a lot of songs, if I really think about it, a lot of songs that are inspired by just a particular person I met, a particular fan that I met. Yeah, it happens all the time. So
that's cool. I mean, it's cool. I was gonna ask about that track actually. I do really like the fact. I think it's. I find it kind of sad and also sort of. I don't know how I find it, but it's sort of sad how like neurodivergent, the term, has also sort of, I've heard people sort of throwing it around disparagingly almost. And it's like, I don't know why anybody would do that. It's like, this is such a great, I don't know. It's like boomer mentality shit. I don't even know that it's worth like talking about because like those people are stupid assholes anyway. So it's, I mean, it's like,
yeah, I think anybody who would use the term neurodivergent disparagingly really doesn't get the term. I mean, I think they really don't understand what it means. What, even the concept of neurodivergence is acknowledging the fact that no human brain is like anybody else's human brain. We're all totally unique in this universe. We've never existed before. And that we should try and create a society where different kinds of thinking and perspectives can thrive, So if somebody's railing against neurodivergence, I mean, what are they suggesting? That we have a society of neuroconformity? I mean, that sounds totally dystopian.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, fuck those people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like, I feel like that's kind of like how a lot of people think these days, is that it's like, oh, back in my day, we didn't have, when I was growing up, we didn't have names for this or that or the other. And it's like, yeah, that must have sucked. Like, people aren't self-aware enough to realize, like, yeah, shit's supposed to be easier now. It's supposed to be better. It's supposed to be, we're supposed to have reached this point now where we can go like, oh, my issue? Oh, I've got this issue, or I'm neurodivergent in this way or that way or whatever. Like, just, it's a catch-all term of like, now it has a name. When it has a name, you can look up how to fight it and how to get better at it and what other people are doing that's effective. And, like, there's so much power in giving a name to something. Like, everybody wants to talk about like, well, we didn't have this, that, and the other autism diagnoses when I was young and all. Well, yeah, because you were fucking stupid because you just like beat those kids or whatever, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like, society inevitably changes. Whatever social norms and social rules existed 40 years ago, and those are going to become extinct after a while. But I think that produces a lot of fear in people, and they,
for sure,
they suddenly they're dealing with a whole new lexicon and a whole new set of vocabulary. And they feel disadvantaged by the fact that there's, new forms of identity out there. And they get nostalgic for back in the day when everything made sense. But it didn't actually make sense back in the day. It wasn't some sort of golden era. I mean, I think that's just an aspect of conservative politics in the United States. It's always looking backwards, trying to find its way back to some sort of golden age. But I really dispute that the golden age ever existed. I think it's just a kind of a myth.
I would agree. I don't think there was a golden age. I think things were just shittier and people wanted
yeah. Yeah, and then that relates a little bit to people, criticizing streaming. And so, again, to just reiterate, there are legitimate critiques of the streaming environment. Okay, so it's not about streaming good, non-streaming bad. It's nothing. It's more nuanced than that. It's just that, the rules of the music industry 20 or 30 years ago were fucking terrible. I mean, like, we just need to remember that it was a small cabal of elites dictating what people heard. There's no way that's better than a system that allows millions of people to hear pretty obscure bands, to search for new kinds of music, on a whim. There's just, there's no way that things have gotten worse in that particular regard. That doesn't mean that the current system can't be improved.
Right.
But I think it's related, right? It's like people being like, I want to go back to whenever people want to return to the conditions under which they thought they were winners, socially speaking.
Right. And
I'm not sure if they really were winners.
I mean, I don't know that either. But I did have that argument with somebody who works in this music scene who was like, oh yeah, it was kind of better back in the day because you had these A&R guys who would, filter out the bad or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but they were all white fucking men. Like, how many great artists did we not get to hear because they were not the right color or the right gender or the right, whatever.
Oh,
like,
100%.
I don't know. I don't understand why anybody would sort of wax sentimental about such a time. Like, that sounds terrible. That sounds awful. Like, I don't know. But it's a shame. I mean, it was just, any society has this kind of untold number of, or untold amount of talent within it. Mm-hmm. And the way that talent is discovered and valued and distributed, if that process is exclusionary, it means that society is suppressing its own talent, right? Right.
Like we're not going to look for the next great physicist in Harlem or whatever. That's a pretty classic example or something like that, right?
I mean, that is a classic example. Yeah. Well, I wanted to. The other question I wanted to get to before we're out of time or anything is just what's something that you've been enjoying lately? I mean, it sounds like you've been very busy and you've got new record and a lot going on in your life from the sound of it. But what's something that you've just been excited about when you get up?
Oh, that's such a tough question. So my life is pretty out of balance. I've got I'm a full-time tenure track professor at university. It's a super demanding, pretty stressful job. I've got 2 kids and I am really dedicated to my music career. Mm-hmm. And so what's really missing in my life? Sleep and like simple joys.
Right. I was going to ask, I was like, what's the last good movie you watched? And I'm like, this motherfucker doesn't watch movies. He's too busy.
Yeah, and so I mean it's crazy. Yeah, so like things like watching film and television, listening to music, even I mean that stuff gets carved out. I'm really trying to figure out a way to incorporate that all back in because I think I definitely work too much. I don't think it's sustainable. I mean, like in order to get the next Rabbit Junk album out, I mean, think about this, right? Like I've got to get my research out. I got to keep this household going. I'm parenting 2 kids. And it meant that I had to, sacrifice social interactions, not watch movies, not hang out with my wife, not go to the beach, I just had to go into the studio, stay in there for 15 hours, do that for 6 weeks on end. That's what it means to get the record out. There's no other way around that. So yeah, I want to give you an easy answer like, oh, there's this thing that I'm doing that I really love that I'm really excited about. But actually, I'm really struggling to figure out how to incorporate like something like normal life back into my life because it got squeezed out pretty hard. I'll get there, man. I'll get there. You know, like
no, I'm sure.
You know, and hopefully this album will do really well, and that'll give me a little bit of breathing space. But I can't stop making music. I mean, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back in the studio like tomorrow. I mean, I just can't stop.
Right.
I'm totally obsessed with it, and ultimately, like that's probably the part of my life I get the most joy out of anyway, is making more music. So it's like that's what I really wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can't wait to make another track. I can't wait to explore new sounds.
Cool.
I'm just a total music obsessed nerd, man.
Good. I mean, that's a good answer. I mean, it's like, God, I hope he has some joy in his life. But I hope he's getting something. But yeah, I but I get you. Like, I used to make a lot of time for listening to music and just like, oh, I'm going to sit and listen to this record or whatever. And it's like, I don't do that now. Like, I've got other shit going on. Like, life is busy and, it takes time, especially if you want to pay attention to it.
Oh, totally. I actually have to schedule time for myself to do that.
Yeah.
So I have like my music meditation. I've been trying to do it once a week where I just listen to music for an hour.
Yeah.
Go sit outside on my porch, put on my headphones and just zone out to something. But that tells you a lot that I have to schedule that time.
Right, of course. And I, on that note, thank you so much for making this work. Like, I do appreciate your time. I don't want to, I'm grateful for it. I was really happy to do this. Cool.
This is a really important thing to do. I don't feel like people, get a chance to, like, I don't produce a lot of videos or a lot of content. I think that the members of Rabbit Junk are a little bit mysterious. People don't know a lot about it. So I really appreciate the opportunity to just like, here's what the dude who does Rabbit Junk sounds like.
I mean, I didn't know fuck all about you. So I was like, yeah, I'm interested, and I think it's cool that you're a professor. I mean, that was an interesting thing to learn about you. Morris Black works as a teacher as well. Doesn't he?
He's never told me that.
Yeah, he works at Harvard. Like,
Fuck
I think
off.
He works as a teacher. Yeah, I'm serious. Like, I don't mean to like bust him out, but like
him right after this and be like, "Why are you holding back on me, bro?"
But like that's his job. Like, he works at Harvard Business School. So
at Harvard Business,
yeah.
I'm gonna give him so much shit in about 10 seconds.
I love that guy. He's so great. Man. But yeah, it's cool to like find out that like I'm always interested when it's like, oh, so and so that makes this music, they have a degree in such and such, and like somehow it kind of makes sense. Like, have you ever heard you've heard the band Seabound, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What do they do? What's their deal outside of music?
So lead singer Frank Spinath has like a PhD in psychology, and he teaches at a university over there in wherever they're fucking from. Denmark is what I want to say, but I don't know.
No shit.
Yeah.
There needs to be like a conference of, underground, industrial, whatever musicians who also are like, in academia, man. We all need to get together.
Yeah, for sure. And
Like,
just
write
have
papers
everybody
together.
like, write lyrics and write like, oh, hey, also, here's my research paper that I wrote about.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Exactly. But it's just always interesting to me to hear and see what people's day jobs are versus like the music that they make or what they're kind of doing. It's an interesting kind of peek inside their mind a little bit. I think it informs a lot about people. But just to sort of answer the question myself, the thing I've been enjoying lately, I went and saw Health and Perturbator and Street Sex last weekend. Holy shit, that was fucking amazing. Man, Perturbator is just like, what a show. What a show. God, it was fucking awesome.
That is definitely a show that I would like to see. I think that they swung by my area and I think I totally missed it. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong and that they're coming. I mean, that's got to be awesome. So there's a lot of visual aspect to that show, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't, I don't want to say like, there wasn't like a backing video, but it was like, there was a lot of, the lighting rig and the lighting setup was like, meticulously put together. So it was such a force. Like, oh, I'm shredding on the guitar, and then I'm gonna sling it, and then I'm gonna play the keys, and then I'm gonna do this. It was fucking awesome. It was fucking incredible. And dude, Street Sex was like, they were not really landing with with some of the younger Perturbator fans who were there, but like, because it's like old school, like screamy, angry, industrially kind of stuff. But fuck, was like the energy coming off of them was just like you could feel it. It was so good. So that was really awesome. And then I watched Bodies recently. If you won't have time, but if someone wants to watch a horror movie that's fun, Bodies is a fun sort of new age version of Clue in a way.
Okay, all right.
It was a blast. I'd recommend it if you get time to sit down. You won't, but if you do,
I've got this. I have this little like leather-bound journal by my bed, which is like, and it literally is, when life isn't so fucking crazy journal, and it's got a list of movies and albums, bands to go see. I just put that one down. Bodies.
Okay, cool.
So you're contributing to my future happiness, man.
Thanks. I'm glad I can do what I can. Well, again, I don't want to keep you too long. So we will go ahead and start wrapping this up. But man, thank you so much for your time and for not only for, taking the time to make this work and do the interview and everything, but like just for the years of fucking great music. Like Rabbit Junk is great and has, enriched my life as well as, my home. For the past few years, and thank you so much for that. My wife is particularly fond of the cover of the Metro. I was listening to Rabbit Junk earlier, and she was like, "Play the fucking Metro cover," and I was like, "Okay." So yeah, thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Well, thanks for thinking of us and inviting me on. I really hope that the new record. I really hope that you like it. Again, that's out October 21st. It's going to be streaming everywhere. There's going to be CDs. Vinyls are going to be coming early 23 because vinyls are pretty held up right now. And so you should reach out and let me know what you think of the record, man. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
For sure, I will. And I'll keep an eye out for Rabbit Junk developments. And if you guys go anywhere that I'll have a chance to see you, I will certainly let you know. And we'll meet up for a drink or a handshake or whatever. But yeah, man, thank you so much again for everything and for all the great music. And I'll go ahead and let you go, and we'll just keep this short and sweet. And I'll let you get back to your busy life and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. You take it easy. You have a good weekend too.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
All right.